In this video, we're talking about 4 secret breakout running backs in fantasy football, and number 1 is a hidden gem that none of your league mates know about, so make sure you watch until the end. Starting at number 4, Tyjae Spears. Tyjae has all the makings of a breakout running back that I think is really going under the radar. He's an efficient back as he averaged 4.58 yards created per touch. He was 5th in explosive run rate and 14th in yards after contact per attempt. Tyjae is also a threat in the passing game as he racked up 52 receptions in year 1, and that was on a really bad Tennessee offense behind a pretty poor offensive line. It's obvious why Tyjae is being overlooked in fantasy drafts. I mean, the Titans just brought in Tony Pollard on that 3-year, $21 million deal. I think that's a mistake. I think that contract's a mistake. Now, I will say, Pollard was coming off that gruesome injury, that hip drop tackle last year, and didn't really look right until the end of last season. That being said, I do think Pollard will be a little bit better this year, but I just don't think he's a better running back than Tyjae Spears. I don't think it's close. Spears is more efficient, explosive, dynamic. I think the Titans are going to see that early on. I think it'll probably be a 50-50 split to start the year. But then I do think that Spears kind of takes the edge as the season progresses. I mean, what if Spears is the Tony Pollard version to Tony Pollard when Tony Pollard was with Zeke in Dallas when he had that great year? Does that make sense? I think that's what's going to happen. I think Pollard is going to be that early down, inefficient back. Spears is going to be the third down, explosive, situational, fantasy goodness back in the red zone in high value situations. Regardless, I think both backs can thrive on this offense behind what's going to be a pretty solid Tennessee offensive line on what should be a better offense this year. I'm the type of guy that likes to bet on talented players that are really efficient, explosive, that just haven't seen the volume yet, because that's where you can get these absolute steals like Tyjae is going in round 10 on underdog drafts. If something breaks right for Spears, he has RB2, RB1 upside. What if Pollard gets hurt? What if Tennessee realizes that Pollard just isn't the back that he used to be? Spears is helping them win football games. His ceiling is uncapped. I don't see that with Tony Pollard this year. I'm fading Pollard at cost, and I am buying Spears in round 10 any chance I get. At number 3, Jaylen Warren. Warren is one of my absolute favorite running backs to draft in fantasy. I don't know how he's not getting more buzz. I don't know how more people are not talking about him, which is good news for us because we can still get him in round 8, round 9. That is criminal. That is an absolute steal considering Warren was one of the best running backs in the league last year. Take a look at these numbers. He was 3rd in explosive run rate, 2nd in yards after contact per attempt, 1st in missed tackles forced per attempt, 5.5 yards created per touch, which was 7th in the league. He was tied for 5th in targets among running backs, but somehow he surprisingly saw less than 50% of snaps last year. And what's really telling to me is that the Steelers did not pick up Najee Harris's 5th-year option. Najee was solid last year, don't get me wrong. And I do think Pittsburgh is going to be extremely run-heavy with my man Arthur Smith in town as offensive coordinator. I hate Arthur Smith, honestly. But one thing we do know, he likes to run the football, and he likes to give the RB2 on the roster a lot of work. That was Tyler Algier last year, which being a Bijan owner drive me bonkers. And that's Jaylen Warren this year. So there's hope. I think Warren has a tremendous year. The Steelers have no allegiance to Najee anymore. No one cares that Najee was a former first-round pick and Warren was an undrafted free agent. That is completely irrelevant now. A couple years ago, that was the thing. The Steelers are like, all right, we spent first-round draft capital on this guy. We got to see what he has. But now, I finally think in my gut, I mean, if the Steelers have not opened their eyes at this point that Najee is the better back, I think they have. Look at the metrics. Look at the difference Warren made on the football field last year compared to Najee, who's far and away the better running back. He's like Maurice Jones-Drew to me. I think Warren has top 12 upside. He's being drafted on underdog, is RB24 right now. I think Warren is an absolute league winner. Again, on this channel, we bet on players who are really talented, who are efficient, who are explosive, who just haven't seen the right amount of volume yet. But they're going to, and we're ahead of the curve. We're taking them at insane value. This is just so simple to me, guys. Don't overcomplicate it. Warren is a must draft at cost this year. At number 2, Kendre Miller. Man, this dude is gonna be special. After you're done watching this video, go YouTube his college highlights. He is the next great running back. He is absolutely phenomenal, you guys. He just turned 22 years old this year, and just throw out last year. Don't let last year be like, oh, Alvin Kamara's the guy. No, he's not. He's not going to be the guy this year. What is Alvin, 29 years old? He's absolutely washed. We'll get into that later. Kendre Miller is a special back. He's going to be incredible for fantasy. Trust me on this. Miller only played in 8 games last year due to injuries and only crossed the 30% snap mark 3 times. But in week 18 last year, when Kendre was probably just starting to feel healthy, Alvin was out. Miller fully capitalized with 13 carries for 73 yards and a rushing touchdown. He looked really nice. Another reason why I really like Kendre Miller is because he's a very underrated receiver. His favorite player growing up was Jerry Rice, because Kendre loves to catch the ball. He's got nice hands. We love a back that can catch in fantasy. And let's not forget, Miller was a freak of nature his final year at TCU, running for nearly 1,400 yards and 17 touchdowns, averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Man, he's got a 3-down skill set. He's got a workhorse back frame. He's a bigger back at 6 feet tall, 205 pounds. He's electric in open space. He's got nice top-end speed. He's the real deal. He's the full package. And Alvin, you guys, we won't go too deep into Kamara. I've talked about him in previous videos, but a lot of what he did last year was really inflated because of all the little receptions, all the little dump-offs from Derek Carr when he had a hurt shoulder. That's not going to happen this year. Alvin as a runner was horrible. For the last 3 years or so, he's continued to decline. Looking at his advanced rushing metrics, he was 40th out of 49 backs in missed tackles forced, averaging 3.9 yards per carry. He's not a good runner anymore. And I think Kendre is already a better runner. Probably is at the same level in terms of a receiving back at this point in Alvin's career. All in all, don't be surprised when Kendre sees a much bigger role this year in this Saints offense. And you can get Kendre in round 12. Some people might argue Alvin's a nice value at his ADP. Give me Kendre all day at this spot. That's incredible value, who has a very high ceiling. At number 1, Chase Brown. Talk about workhorse back. Brown's final year at Illinois, he was absolutely insane as he finished with over 1,800 total yards and 13 touchdowns while averaging 27 carries a game. And Brown honestly has the frame to support a lot of volume in the NFL. He's 5'10", 211 pounds. He's more than just a screen merchant. I know that's all that we really saw out of him last year, was mainly in the pass game because Joe Mixon was there. But Brown is honestly a physical specimen with impressive athleticism and blazing speed. He's got that home run ability. Brown ranked 12th in yards after contact per attempt and 16th in missed tackles forced per attempt his rookie year. I think Brown will not only be the pass down back, but I think he carves out a much larger role this year. I understand now with Zach Moss in town, who played pretty well in Indy last year. I will give him that. Outside of that, I just think Zach Moss is just a guy. I don't think he's anything special. I think he's like a Joe Mixon who can't catch. I think there's a very real possibility that Zach Moss could be this year's Alexander Mattison, someone who we are getting really excited about. He's an average runner at best, just a plotter. He does have nice touchdown upside in the red zone, but man, give me Chase Brown, who has just an uncapped ceiling in my opinion. All right, that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.